The first step I advise anyone to take when they do a soil evaluation to determine where and how they're going to grow their gardens is to take a soil sample and submit it to a laboratory. A laboratory analysis of our soils is an extremely valuable tool, and many people want to forego that step. I don't know why. I know we all have a little bit of a fear when we hear that we have to have our blood sampled and have it sent off to a laboratory. There's trepidation involved in that, and many of us think that, well, you know, our ancestors and our grandfathers that farmed didn't have to rely on a soil lab. Aren't there other ways that we can get this information? Well, yes, there are. If we have a wealth of experience, we can often diagnose deficiencies in some minerals in the soil by observing plant growth. But the reality is that even someone with my level of experience in evaluating crop growth to determine nutrient deficiencies, it can take 2 or 3 growing cycles before I really have a handle on what's going on. Whereas with a soil analysis, immediately you have this array of information in front of you. A soil analysis such as the one that we have here costs about $15. That's less than the price of a good hoe or the price of a bag of fertilizer. It's really a very good bargain for the information that you get. And I recommend sending it to an independent soil laboratory rather than one of our state university system laboratories. The state university systems are very good, and they do have laboratories that can do a soil analysis, but oftentimes their equipment is not as accurate as a commercial laboratory. Oftentimes it's a student or someone in training that is actually doing the analysis. And many times in the state laboratories, even though you can get your analysis done for free or for a very small, modest fee, you don't get the complete information that I like to have from a soil analysis. Now, I want to share with you too that as I evaluate a soil analysis, and we're going to go through this step by step over the course of this presentation and the next one to help you understand how to make use of this and make this a useful tool to you. But I frankly look at a soil analysis slightly differently than the vast majority of soil scientists and the people engaged in production agriculture in this country. And the reason for that is that I'm concerned about my health and my nutrition, not only the health of the plant and not only the productive capacity of that plant. Our agribusiness industry is driven by one motive and one motive only, and that is how many tons per acre can we produce. That tons per acre equation does not include how much nutrition per ton. It doesn't include how much taste per ton. It's simply predicated on the volume that can be produced. And because of that, the way that soil analysis are used in commercial agriculture is very different than the way that I'm going to share with you about how I evaluate a soil analysis to produce not only abundant crops, but crops that are very high in nutrition. I want to demonstrate to you how I go about taking a soil sample. Taking a sample is really the first step that we need to develop our gardens and to provide the elements necessary for the soil to really provide maximum productivity for both the plant's health and for our health. And I'm going to demonstrate to you here how I go about it. When we examine a new field, we want to take a sample that is representative of the entire field. So if we have variations of soil type within the field that are very obvious, we're going to want to sample those areas separately. In a field such as this one, we've got about 1.5 acres here that we'll be planting to potatoes next year. We want to take a sample that's going to represent this entire field because I'm going to treat it all the same way. So I'll be taking a sample from this location and probably 2 or 3 other locations within the field and then combining those samples into a composite to send to the lab. But how do I go about doing this? Well, this is what I want to show you. As we looked the other day on our video, I explained that we want to sample the top foot of soil. And what I'm doing right now is I'm cutting the sod loose so that I'm not going to skew my results with all of the organic matter that lays in the surface of this soil. So I'm going to remove the top 2 inches or so and get down to the parent soil that's underneath. Now I need to excavate a hole a foot deep. So I'm going to take my shovel and I'm going to dig straight down into this soil until I reach the depth of my shovel, which is just about a foot. Okay, after setting our shovel aside, we're going to take out the next 2 tools that we use here. One is a clean Ziploc bag, and the other is a stainless steel tablespoon. Now, in order to take a composite sample for the laboratory, I need about 1 pound of soil, which is about the amount of the size of my fist. What I'm going to do here is to start at the bottom of the hole and just pull the spoon up the side to the top and take about this much soil. And I'm going to put that in my bag, and I'm going to repeat that process around the edges of this hole. Now, one of the reasons for taking a composite sample like this is that because we are in an area where there is a lot of wildlife, if we were to take simply one sample and that particular sample happened to be where a bird had flown over and made a deposit the day before, or some wildlife may have left some waste material, our analysis would be a little bit skewed by the influence of that. So I'm going to pull around the hole here in a number of locations just a little bit of soil and add that to my bag. And in each hole, I'll take about that much soil. I'll repeat this process in 2 or 3 or 4 other holes that I will make around the field here and combine all of those in this bag, and this is what will be sent to the laboratory for my analysis. The importance of taking a representative sample is that we get a clearer picture of the overall status of the field. And as you can see, where I dug in this hole, I knocked a little bit of grass in here. If you encounter large roots or earthworms or other organic matter, it's best to remove that and just try to get the mineral portion of the soil. But that essentially is how I go about taking a soil sample, and I've had very good and consistent results by doing it this way. Once we have our soil sample and you've collected that pound of soil and you've prepared it for sending to the laboratory, basically what I do is I send it by priority mail to my particular choice of laboratories, which is A&L Laboratories in Richmond, Virginia. They're very close to us. I get email results of that analysis back in about 4 days. And there are also other laboratories that I recommend that you can use that are located throughout the country. And as with many of the things that I will be talking about through the course of these presentations, you'll find links to those laboratories on our website, bereagardens.org.